So just like episode one, episode two is starts off with a bang. The season is incredible so far. Episode two is just as good, if not a little better than the first one. So while episode one centered solely on the innies, this one centered completely on the outies. Uh, what immediately followed the series one finale, which I thought was a good choice because if you did both of them and you kept cutting back and forth, I feel like that would have had too many storylines at once and would have got a little muddled. Well, with this one, there's only three or four storylines you have to follow at a time, which is, makes a lot more sense. So we see what happens immediately following season one, and not only do we see Mark's perspective, we see all of those. We see Bo, we see Ove, we see Helly, Dylan, we see Milchick, and we see Miss Cobell. Seeing all of these Audi's perspectives is so interesting because it adds so many layers to it and kind of answers a few of my questions on what they're like on the outside. I only saw glimpses of that in season one. Especially interesting seeing Helly's reaction to what goes on the outside. She's kind of the only one who knows really what's going on, like in the whole picture. She knows what's going on with the innies. She knows what's going on with the outies. She's kind of like the mastermind of it all, really. Britt Lau does a great performance as this. Distinguishing between the two Hellys. She's so cold and like strategic when she's the outside Helly, which is completely different from the Helly we know and love on the inside. And I think she does a great job. But towards the end of the episode, we see her have some sort of vulnerability towards the end. So I'm really curious into seeing what direction that goes to. Is he starting to actually empathize with the innies? Is that going to lead somewhere? I don't know. One of the only shows where I have no clue what's going to happen. It could be in so many different directions the show could take. But I don't know. It's hard to choose a favorite character, really. I'd say right now it's either Mark or Helly, just because of how much we see of them and how multifaceted the characters are. But Helly is definitely the most interesting one, I would say. Adam Scott also kills it in this episode. Just those emotional beats with his sister all just so they hit so much, and the way he's so desperate to find out the truth. He's so good in dramatic roles. On that list of comedic actors that became like super serious dramatic actors. But like I said, I like seeing him with his sister again because they have like such a sweet dynamic where you could tell they obviously care for each other very much. Like when he was talking about how he felt when his wife died, and she talked about how she was really upset by it too. Like it just shows how strong of a bond they have with each other. So who's that creepy guy listening to their conversations? The same guy who was listening to Helly's conversation. Who is this creepy guy? Reminds me of the cigarette man from the X-Files, so he's always kind of looking in the background. But yeah, not only is this one of the best written shows on television, it's definitely one of the best casted shows on television because everybody in the cast shines. Like when they even when they play two different characters for the most part, it's just great. Even like the characters aren't really several and play the same character, like Mr. Milchick or Mrs. Cobell, shows a duality in them and how they behave around the innies versus the outies. Like Mr. Milchick in particular, very kind of commanding presence, kind of creepy presence when he's talking to the innies, but with the outies, he's a lot more, at least with Mark, he seems a lot more desperate and pleading, like, there's somebody telling him what to do. Like, while the inside, you get the impression that Milchick is like this nurse ratchet authoritarian, like, dictator almost. On the outside, you realize he's just kind of another pawn in this huge puzzle. Yeah, this is also the first time we see Dylan and Ov's outies for the first time, and how different they are from who they are on the inside. Dylan is very different on the outside, a lot more depressed, I would say. I think the Dylan on the inside is depressed, don't get me wrong, but the outie is a lot more outward depressed. No pun intended. Well, pun intended. I could relate to him struggling to land a job, with a bunch of awkward interviews. I I'm in the same boat as you right now, Dylan, so I get it. It's interested to see how he is discriminated against for being severed, because it kind of gives you a clue on what the rest of the world thinks about the severed process. You know, everybody in Lumen says, like, oh, it's great, but most of the time, besides Mark's sister, we don't really see that many perspectives on this. So it's kind of interesting to see how other employers view this, because it makes sense, why they want to hire a severed person. Like, how do we know you're qualified for this job if you don't remember doing your last job? It opens up a lot of questions like that. Like, you know, what in essence, you, the person, Outlaw Dylan, hasn't been working in a long time because you don't remember it. So why would you be qualified? It's so interesting like that. But the main question all of this poses is like, um, why they were so quick to file everyone else, but they really wanted Mark in it. Why is Mark so important? Like, what does he have that the others don't have? I have a feeling it has something to do with his dead wife, Miss Casey. Um, my theory for this, and I don't know if it's going to be right. I feel like I don't make theories much in this channel because I'm not confident they're going to be right. But my theory for this is Lumen is really like making clones or something. They're a cloning facility, and they're using Mark's memories to revive Miss Casey. And the Miss Casey we see during the therapy sessions, that is like a prototype that isn't really used that much. It's not really her. His wife is actually dead. They're just like cloning her using his memories. That's why when she gets sent, it's like they're like turning her off, and that they're just gonna start from scratch, which I think is what they're doing now. That's my theory. It could be wrong. I don't know. It's also interesting to see Ove on the outside, because he is also very different from his inside persona, because he seems, on the inside, he's very affable for the most part. In the early episodes, he's really eager to go by the books until he meets Bolt, of course. But on the outside, it's very clear that he knows more than he's letting on. He knows, like, this black painting he keeps painting. So I think he knows about people getting shut down, like Miss Casey was. And the way he talked to Mr. Milchek when he visited his house really glues in that he knows more than he's letting on. And so does Bolt, um, Christopher Walken's character. Why else would he be spying on him? You know, there's a lot of questions I have, and there's still 8 episodes left in the season. So if it keeps this intense mystery pace, I think it might be one of the best shows of the year. I am loving it so far. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What are your crazy theories? Please let me know. I love discussing this stuff. Though I tend to stay off the internet though, because not on like the Severance Reddit or anything, because if they have a theory that turns out to be true, I don't want it to be like spoiled and be like, oh, well, they saw that coming. Now it was planted in my mind. So who knows? I don't like reading too much on the theories. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and I'll go talk to you guys next time. Peace.